Hi, I'm Dana Obleman, and it's time for this week's question. And it comes from Wendy, and she has a question about her son Ollie, who is 9 months old. She says, Ollie goes down half awake at 6:30, then wakes an hour later wanting a 9-ounce bottle. He then used to sleep until 3 when he'd have another bottle, but he's now waking up at 11 and 3 wanting to eat both times. Then he's waking up extra early in the morning because his nappy is soaked through. Well, I can believe his nappy is soaked through. That's a lot of milk in the middle of the night. I'm assuming he has a bottle before bed and then another one at an hour later and then 2 more in the middle of the night. That's way too many. I mean, unless he is very underweight or you've been advised by your doctor that he should be eating in the night, or that if he has any health concerns, then by all means continue with the feed. But if he's a healthy little 9-month-old, there's no reason he needs any bottles in the night. And a couple of things are sort of red flags that I see from your question. It sounds like you've started to make some steps in the right direction as far as bedtime is concerned. I'm assuming you do a nice routine with him before bed. If you're not including a feed in the bedtime routine, then I suggest you put one in. So, for example, maybe around 6 o'clock he has a bath, he gets his PJs on, he has a bottle, he stays awake through the bottle, and then maybe you do a story after the bottle just to break that connection, and then you put him in the crib awake. I think you've maybe taken some steps in the right direction to stop him from falling fully asleep on the bottle. When you say half awake, that's a good step, but half awake could also mean half asleep. So for some babies, it's just not enough. If you think of sleep as a journey, and let's say the bottle, for example, a baby uses a bottle to sort of take them 80% of the way, and then they do the last little 20 on their own, they may start to think that you need to come in and do that 80 again, and they do the 20 every time they have a night waking. So it sounds to me like Ollie still has an association between the bottle and sleep. It's definitely going in the right direction, but in order to really solve these problems and get him sleeping straight through, you've really got to completely end the connection he has between the bottle and sleep. So keep him wide awake through the bottle at bedtime. If you have to tickle him or poke him or talk to him, take the bottle right out and dance him around a little and try again. I mean, it's important that he have some food before bed, but you really don't want him to start his journey at all with that bottle. And by adding the story, you're just breaking it up a little bit more and doing a story. If he's not terribly in the mood for the story, just do a page or two and then be done with it. And he should be going into the crib awake, okay? And maybe that means bedtime doesn't go as smoothly as it's been going, going down drowsy and just rolling over and falling asleep on his own. Might mean he does a bit more crying at bedtime as he figures out, how do I do this all on my own without the help of the bottle? And so you can handle it in a couple of ways. If you want, you can stay in the room, you sit by the crib for a couple of nights, and then move away for a couple of nights to the door for a couple more, and then work your way right out of the room. That might make it a little easier on both of you. Or you could just leave and check on him. And it should just take a few nights because you've nudged him in the right direction. It's not going to be endless nights of lots of going in for checking. It shouldn't really take you much more than a couple of nights, and that should start transferring to the middle of the night wakings too. It won't happen automatically, but I suggest you handle every night waking exactly the same. So there's no confusion for Ollie. There's no chance that he might get fed if he just protests long enough. So for every wake up, you should first wait a couple of minutes and see if he can get himself back to sleep without any help from you. If it continues past 5 or 10 minutes, then one of you go in, offer some support with your careful touching, your key phrases, a few reassuring words that everything's fine, and then either continue a leave and check style method, or you can stay if you want, and be with him through the time it takes him to get back to sleep. But he's going to have to go back to sleep on his own with no feeds, okay? And I wouldn't consider morning anything before 6 a.m. I'd consider it a night waking if it's 5, and hang in there until at least 6, so that he starts to realize that morning comes a little bit later. And that should solve the problem of the soaked through diaper. Without those night feeds, he should be much drier in the morning. And also, too, one other problem area you were having was the wake up an hour into his sleep. Consider that a night waking as well. I know it's sort of questionable. Well, did he think that was a nap? What's he up to? But if he just had a feed right before bed, then it's not food. You don't have to worry about that. It could just be a bit of a habit he's got himself into. So treat it like a night waking. Do exactly what you would do if it were 3 a.m. Wait and leave and check, or stay with him till he's back to sleep without the bottle. Okay, so it does sound like the bottle is the issue still, and just making a few changes to that and getting him to figure out ways of doing this that are much more independent and not relying on the bottle at all will get him sleeping through the night. So thanks for your question, Wendy. Good luck and sleep well.